Our wisdom does not only come from what we learn, it also comes from what we force ourselves to unlearn. Sanbonani, Dumelang, Abusheni, and welcome to yet another episode with me, Eunice. If you are a new listener, I welcome you to the show. You are on a path of unbecoming and unlearning all the things that society, people, and experiences have told you to be. Today I am joined by Beloved Mphomane, and today's episode is titled Changing the Narrative of How We Africans See Ourselves and How the Rest of the World Sees Us. Beloved Mphomane is a young woman born and raised in South Africa with an entrepreneurial spirit. She is a fashion lover and a lover of fabulous things, an aspiring designer, art enthusiast, photographer in the making, and overall, she labels herself as a creative who does not want to be limited by the descriptions of just one title. Beloved Mphomane is a new friend that I recently met through my travelings. I think we were in Chicago when we met, and we had so many conversations, and I was like, wow, I want people to be able to hear these conversations. I want other people to be part of these conversations. And here we are today working together, and it excites me. I have to be honest though that recording this episode was so much of a hassle. We struggled with the quality of the sound. At some point Skype was just a problem, but through all of that she was very patient with me, and I am truly grateful. From that moment when we had all those little struggles, I knew that this podcast was going to be mind-blowing, and I cannot wait for our listeners to give it an ear and tell us what they think. Hello and welcome to the show, Beloved. How are you today?
Hello Eunice, thank you for having me. I am good and I'm happy to be a part of this exciting journey that you're on. And yeah, it's always a pleasure talking to you. I mean, you always leave me enlightened, and so I'm very excited to be a part of this. How are you doing today?
I am very well, thanks. And I must say that talking to you is always like a pleasant thing to do, because I know we always learn from each other, something new, you know, like within a conversation you're like, oh wow, I didn't know that. So yeah, I'm excited to have you in the show. And you know, on our last conversation you said something that really stuck with me, and I feel like it's just gonna stuck with me for the longest time. And you said that you always want to be remembered as love. That for me was mind-blowing. And I look at you and I see a very creative being. Now, before I actually put you in a box, I want to hear from you. How do you describe yourself?
Okay, Eunice, so as I've told you many times, and you probably get tired of hearing this, but I mean, for the new people out there listening, you know, I firstly, you know, describe myself as a brand. You know, I am a brand, and I see myself as a creative. You know, I say that because I do not want to limit myself to a box or a space or one label. I want to be known for many things because I love being involved in, you know, the creative space. And yeah, you know, for example, I don't want to just be called, oh, you know, she's great, be known for sketching and be like, oh, she's good at sketching, she's just a sketch artist. Or you paint, so you're a painter. Or, you know, so there's so many things that I love to do in the creative space. I just don't want to limit myself to that. And moving on, I'm also an aspiring fashion designer, as you've mentioned, and I am a content creator, and I am a photographer in the making.
I have seen that, girl.
And yeah, I am artistic, or I find myself being drawn to very artistic things. And yeah, like I said to you, overall, I want to be known as love. You know, I am love. That's what I say, you know, because God has loved me through every part of my life. So I want to be love, and I want to give love and also receive love. And
when people look at you want them to see that. Wowza, I like that, honestly speaking. And this was like our last conversation. I didn't even tell you. I was like, wow. I'm not going to say it. I'm just going to pop it out there. So, like you already know, today's episode is titled Changing the Narrative of How We Africans See Ourselves and How the Rest of the World Sees Us. You know, before I even get to like the specific question, I have to say that to the listeners that I'm also from a family where, or rather a community where you do something unfamiliar and they're like, who or which translates to you like acting white, or you like acting better than us, to those
That's
that
right.
don't really understand isiZulu. And I remember at some point I was doing practicals at this other school, and so I was joined by my primary school friend. I don't remember if we were like listening music or if she saw my WhatsApp status. And she came the next day and she was like, Eunice, you are too white for me. I think you belong in USA. And little did she know at that time that I was going to be this side. And I was like, what's with people liking to categorize or liking to feel as if something is for this specific group of people? I remember going to the beach this other time, and the people that I was with, they were like, oh, isn't Ozabelungu? Look at that beauty. And I'm like, I don't really appreciate that, because when God created, he was not specific that this is for this kind of people or this kind of people. And so I just wanted to hear from you, like, what's your take on that, you know?
Okay, so from my side, people that speak like that, I feel like need to change their mentality, you know, because they tend to forget that some of the great people that have done great things in society are not only white, but they are black and they are people of color. So we need to be able to like share all those stories and make people aware that, you know, people of color or black people or everybody of every race has done something great in the past, and currently there are young people out there doing great things. So I feel like people need to stop saying that things are for white people only, and come back, like take that mentality and break it down. Like you say, they need to unbecome that mentality and just change it to something else, and know that they also deserve all the great things and that they are able to receive those great things. You know, people are scared to be great because they're scared to be labeled like white, or, you know, if you're doing something out of the ordinary, if you're doing something out of the ordinary, something creative, something new, they are taken back and challenged by that path that you're heading, and they thus label it white as if nobody else is greater than white people. And I guess, like, I've been reading and listening to like videos about, you know, the history of South Africa, mainly, you know, because we're from there, and watching this video, some of these people that were involved in like creating the apartheid struggle, like these white like gentlemen or individuals were like, the main purpose was to make them understand that they are superior to the people of color in South Africa, you know, the black people and the Indian people and the colored people. And that is the thing that has been oppressing us as people. And when our generation decides to break those walls and do the things that our parents never did or our grandparents never did, people then label us as, you know, trying to be white, where you just being yourself and, you know, growing up in a space where you are not limited.
I have to say, I came across this other post this morning as I was driving to DC, and it just struck me because I knew that we were going to have this interview, and it was like, please do not blame me if I celebrate little victories, because I'm fighting battles that our parents never wore on. So let it not be a problem to you if you see me celebrating these little achievements. And I feel like that's the thing, you know, you try and put out something and people have something to say. I have a friend that just bought a car and I'm happy for him. He made me so proud. And somebody like wanted to reach out to me and was like, but that looks like an old car. It's like, it's none of your business. It's his car.
Oh,
if it makes me, it makes him happy. Like, you know, I don't want to shift from the topic, but it's another thing of people always having something to say. You know, whether you do good or bad. But I know.
But that's life, Eunice. I'm sorry. That is life, and I think you've experienced it too, and I have, and so many people out there who are working hard to become something or someone that they're proud of. People who are not inspired to do something about their own lives sit back and criticize the other people who are doing something. And that is the world that we're living in, sadly. And hopefully young people out there can focus on their own lives and disconnect from what other people are doing and just applaud from the sidelines, you know, and just congratulate that person and move on with life. If they feel like that makes them proud and they're happy of that achievement, like celebrate and keep on motivating them and keep on moving forward.
You know, I always say that how you treat yourself sets the tone to how people will treat you. And in this instance, I would like to put it this way, that how we as South Africans treat each other sets the tone to how the rest of the world will treat us. I know you've been here in USA close to 3 years now, and I know you've like had your own experiences. What did I want to say? I remember when I arrived, people had like this narrative that within the back of our yards we have like lions and zebras, and I was gobsmacked to actually experience that. Like, where did people see that? Who told them all of that, you know? And I remember this one time as we were speaking, you spoke about the video of the child. I'm actually gonna let you speak about it and then I'm gonna elaborate. Like the video of the child who was hungry and which also shocked you. And I'm gonna let you get into details into that, but then I feel like how we are treating each other says a lot, because one thing I've come to realize is that we live in a me society where we do not want to give, and so the rest of the world looks at us and they're like, they are a needy society. I think we need to give to them, because in America people think that Africa is like poor. And when they think of us as like a charity case where they have to like donate food parcels and donate all of that. And I feel like at some point, if we were not so me, that wouldn't be the case when like other people look at us, you know?
Yeah, I get that. So going back to that story or that narrative of coming into the country, first of all, I think you adopted something that they always say. They always go, a lot of Americans go zebra because they say the letter, like Z is Z. So I was like, I always say, do you ever call Deborah Debra?
No.
Right? So zebra. You know, first of all, that I was just like, please just think about that, you know, and how you're pronouncing things, so they're like, oh, you get it, you know.
Right.
But that mentality, you know, is painted by the media. Like we've had in previous conversations, I think I mentioned this all the time, as the media and what they allow or choose to show about a certain country. Like, although we have certain struggles, we also have certain victories. But the media always chooses the bad or the negative parts or the developing parts and showcases that to the world. I sat down with like a few other American like students from the university that I'm currently at, and they were like, honestly, in our school systems, we never learn anything about Africa. So the rest of the world was made sure not to know anything. And they only show them, obviously, the beauty of our nature and what we have. But they tend to neglect showing, like, the beauty that the people they have created, even after our struggle, you know, and how we go on right now as a society. And, you know, people now are trying to share places like, you know, places in Cape Town, or the everyday places, no matter where you are, sharing that beauty in the, you know, the situation that you're in or in the place that you're in is a role that we need to play. We don't need a foreign person to come into our country to tell us that our country is beautiful. Because we see it with our own eyes, and our thing is having to push that and expose that to the rest of the world in order for them to understand. And the big thing is just having conversations with people, educating them, you know, and we need to also change our own mindset of how we see our country. Because we are labeled a certain way, I feel like we already take those labels and we accept them, and we become what they say we are, and we are not becoming what we say we are. And that's what needs to change. We need to create our own narrative and share with the world what we feel like we want to be, or who we want to be, you know, and showcase the world that, hey, this is South Africa as a country, or this is Africa as a continent. We are beautiful. We have beautiful people. We have beautiful minerals. We're rich in, like, because I'm in the fashion industry, or, you know, working in the fashion industry, I think of textile, like what beautiful garments and what beautiful materials come from Africa. Certain trends are taken from Africa, and Africa as a continent is not credited for that. Like Louis Vuitton took those, you know, bags that people use at the rank, you know, to pack their things.
Yeah.
Louis Vuitton took something like that, put their brand on it, and it was costing thousands of dollars. You know, something that we have and was created uniquely within our society, within our country, within our space, was taken by someone else and made into something great, as if it was not already great in our eyes. And because we used it, you know, for the right purposes, but we didn't make it a new fashion trend. Although there are a lot of like South African and other African designers that are doing great things and that are thinking outside the box and that are creating things that leave you in awe. We just need to remember that people need to, I don't even know how to put it, like people need to stop just listening to outside voices and listen to their own voices, and you know, then we can share those things with the world, share our art, share everything that we have to share with the rest of the world in order for them to know who we are.
You know, what's actually very saddening is that we know so much more about, I don't want to say the American culture, but we like know a lot even about like the UK culture. You know, we watch their TV shows, we have their restaurants, we enjoy their TV, and we are even jealous of their passion for things, you know. And I know that because artists like Black Coffee, they are not that highly recognized back at home, but like they're doing it big on the other side of the world, this side. I've seen that with a lot of people, and I know that you are in fashion, and so I'm just wondering to myself that, is it the case? Are you being overlooked because you are a South African fashion designer, fashion blogger, and all of that? Like, people more interested in, you know, what's in the States more than what you have to offer as a brand.
And that's a very big thing that I think a lot of people are also working on overcoming. You know, people undermine their own people because they feel like, oh, this is Beloved from next door, or this is Eunice from down the road, and they don't value the work or the talent that you put out there. And other people, when they see that from, you know, no matter what country it is, if they see that you have talent, your art, they value your art, they take it in and they support you, you know, until you become successful. I'm just thinking about, like, take something like YouTube content creators. So you find that people here, like in the States, the way they follow those people, it's obviously because of the content they create, but they make sure to follow their own people and support them until they do great things, you know, because of the relationship that they have created in that space. So we need to be able to do the same. I think people hold this thing of jealousy or something, like, you know, oh, why should I, you know, who is she? And they don't try and get to know you before, you know, deciding that they like or hate what you do. So I think people need to just, like I said, it goes back to changing the mindset. People need to be able to support each other as, you know, as brands, as future doctors, as future engineers, whatever, like, space that you're in. People need to learn to support each other, because we have to build each other in order to make it. But if we're tearing each other down or hating on people or not trying to support people starting great things, we'll always remain mediocre and we'll never win, because, you know, we undermine our own people, and that leaves the rest of the world to also undermine
us. Right. I was about to say that. And how we look down on ourselves also puts a picture that in turn makes people to think of us like this certain class. I had to send a video yesterday to two of my friends. I was like, this is where I'm from. This is Joburg. Tell me if you see any zebras. Sorry. Tell me if you see any lions in our backyards, because that's what they have at the back of their minds. You understand? And I feel like it's a picture that we've not only painted. I looked at The Lion King and I was like, The Lion King focuses on Africa, but it's only showing like the nature reserve part of Africa. What about the other beauty that Africa entails? And I think this will be interesting for you to talk about. Like, I want us to talk about the reality that we faced when we got to USA. Like, how much of a non-shock was it for you to be in New York, because you felt like you had been there before? And I remember saying that to my friends, and they're like, how do you have buildings like that? And I was like, stop already. I think I'm getting annoyed, because yes, we have all of these buildings, we have all of that. And to them, it was like music to their ears. So I want us to like talk about the reality that we came to face, because I also get a lot of friends that are like, I also want to be like you. I also want to join you in USA. And at the back of my mind, I'm like, please enjoy Africa. Please enjoy what you are blessed with. Because until you are on the other side of the world, you never really get to appreciate what you have. So I'm going to let you, and let's get to that.
So yeah, coming to the United States, like to the US, you know, like, it humbled me so much, actually, and it helped me appreciate Africa more and South Africa as a whole. I was just like, we like I said, we tend to undermine ourselves and undermine our country and put it down. You know, although we go through struggles, there is beauty. It's like a diamond in the rough. We are still working off the past and trying to build a better future, you know. So coming to the USA, for me, it was just like, okay, people at home hype you up, and you've listened to the radio stations or our celebrities or whoever, you know, who go, oh, going to New York or going to whatever country that they're going to, or whatever, you know, state that they're going to in the USA. And when I got here, I was like, okay, fine.
That's
New York has its great things.
Yeah.
But then driving into other parts of New York, I was just like, oh, I was in shock. Like, is this it? Like, I was expecting so much more, and I guess I was disappointed. I was just like, oh, people build up this thing like you're coming to heaven or you coming to the land of milk and honey, and then it's just like, okay, this is normal. At some parts, I was just like, look at that art on the wall, look at that graffiti, look at these buildings. This feels like home. I was like, I've seen this somewhere, and I always think of Joburg, and I'm like,
it's like a deja vu.
Yeah, it's like, oh wait, I've seen this before, and I was just like, some parts felt like, oh, this is Joburg, but then obviously the people open their mouths, and you're like, okay, I'm not home, and reality snaps in and comes back to you. But yeah, just living here for a little bit. Obviously, I've got my personal reasons and just, my journey with God. And this is where I feel like he's put me at this moment.
Which is beautiful. I'm jealous, by the way. I mean, I've lived and I'm ready to go back home, but I'm like, I'm jealous in a good way.
Yeah, but I mean, I was very underwhelmed, and I was just like, okay, so yes, the United States has its great things and things to offer, but then I was just like, oh my gosh, after I'm done with this experience, I want to travel the rest of Africa. I want to experience that beauty, because you've seen it in pictures, and I've met people from other African countries, and it sounds beautiful, and it's so sad that I have not been to other parts of Africa. And it's just like, when are we going to celebrate our own continent first? Like we're saying, changing the narrative, show people the beautiful parts, experience the beautiful parts, and take out those things that, like, out of your mind that people have said about those places, and just take a leap of faith and go. Because you'll never really know what's out there until you are there.
I must say, I'm not proud of myself at all, because, wow, I haven't traveled South Africa like I've traveled USA. And it just hits me sometimes, and I'm like, I'm one of those people, like, this podcast also challenges me as an individual to actually go back and do like you're saying, appreciate all the beauty that we have, and stop being so stuck up. Yes, it's nice traveling, it's nice getting perspective, it's nice meeting new people, and you also get to learn, because if there's one thing that I've learned that we are like the most diverse continent ever. You tell people that back at home you have 11 languages, and they're like, what? It's like news to them. And a lot of my friends,
the uniqueness of it.
And a lot of my friends, they only speak English. I tell them that I speak Setswana, Sesotho, and I could be speaking to you in Sizulu, and you could be responding in Sotho or Tswana, and it still makes sense. They're like, how? I'm like, that's how diverse we are. That's how beautiful of a country, of a continent we are. And I feel like, really, it's about time we sit back and start taking it all in. Yes, we have our downfalls. America as well. I was shocked at the amount of poverty when I got here. I remember when I was in Chicago, where we met, as I was walking down the street, I was like, I do not aspire to this. The poverty here is just too scary for me. It's something that I wouldn't want to live and experience, Mm-hmm.
That's right. I also experienced seeing a lot of like poverty here, and I was actually brought to tears by an experience where there was a mother, an older woman who was, I think it was in DC when I was there, or Chicago, I think it was Chicago. She was laying on the floor, sleeping on concrete, and everybody just walked past like they did not care. And I'm like, the beauty about South Africa and maybe the rest of Africa is that we love and look after our elder people.
Yeah.
Even if you don't know that person, you feel like that person is your mother.
True.
You know, you think of them as your mother, you think of them as your grandparents, and you want to give them love the same way that they have given us love. And it was so sad and moving that people don't care, or people put their parents in homes and move on with the rest of their lives. So yeah, it's time for South Africa to kind of realize that there are a lot of things that make them unique, that makes us unique as South Africa. And even being here, when I went home, I don't know, it felt like a breath of fresh air. Right. I was just like, I am missing, it feels like you're missing a part of life. It feels like it's a part of, like, some part of your body, you know, that was missing because of the personality as a whole that South Africa has, the vibe, if you can put it like that, you know, the vibe and the people. I mean, I'm not one to always take like a taxi that much, but when I got home, I promise you, in Cape Town, I was like, I am taking a taxi to, you know, to the nearest place. And the experience was exciting. It was like I was a touristic, like a new person coming in, because my eyes had been opened to not just like see these things as your everyday things and move on. I've been here for so long that it was refreshing, and I was aware of the beauty and the friendliness and the culture that brings us together and makes us unique and makes us stand out.
Right. And that's another thing. I remember when I planned my trip to Los Angeles, oh my goodness, I was so excited. I was expecting the glitz and glams, you know, expecting to bump into some star or whatever. But the moment I like stepped out from the airport, like there was just this disappointment in my face when I took the bus going downtown LA. Usually downtown here, it's like, you know, the cleanest places, the most beautiful attractions, you found them there. And I was like, it's so dirty. In Joburg, you never find such pollution. And it was not only just pollution, but they even like have campsites for what do we call them back at home? You know, people that live on the street.
Yes,
like
homeless people.
Homeless people, they even like have tents. It's like tents for the homeless. And, you know, back home, we look at LA, we see this fancy place that we all aspire to be. And I got there and I was like, if only back at home we can aspire to build our own Hollywood. We can aspire to have our own Hollywood, you know, our own LA. If we could like aspire to have like our own New York, because wow, it could be greater than what I'm seeing. You know, you come across Americans and all they're talking about is making America great, the American dream. Do we ever think of the African dream? Do we ever think of teaching people about the African dream? You know, like it just hit me, and it hit me hard. I was like, this is not what I expected. Yes, I was still happy being there and getting the feel of everything, but I was like, no, no, no. My home has so much more to offer. My home has genuine, kind people. We have our struggles, but you know, you kind of miss the sense of Ubuntu, like you said. So yeah.
Yes, but you know what? I don't want us to just like sound like we're hating on the United States, because it does have its own beautiful things. It does have beautiful people, and it has like I have learned so much being here about just changing your mindset about going for the things that you want to do, and like just having that attitude of just doing it. You know, it opened my eyes, like just seeing young people become, you know, these great people or become successful in the things that they've set their mind to doing. So I don't want to, you know, bash it and say it is just that, you know. It is so much more, but people need to just know that there is that side of it. It is not all that you see on TV. And the same for South Africa is that, like the United States, we all have room to grow. You know, we all have room to better ourselves. And, you know, that is the important part.
Beloved, this was a rather very interesting topic, and I know that our listeners are going to appreciate it. And if you are wondering what are some of the steps that you could probably take up, you know, as an individual, I feel like it's about time we stop waiting on employment and start creating our own. I feel like that's the one of the biggest things that I got to learn at this point of my life, that it's about high time you start working on what you really want. And maybe that's what makes America different from Africa or from other countries. People are so focused on their dreams and they are grinding on them. They are not waiting on the president or on whatever. Yes, you need money for everything. And I think we did talk about this at some point, that we need to start creating our own communities where we empower each other. We don't have to wait up till we have made it in life, you know, to start sharing our journeys or start inspiring each others. And I feel like that's one of the things that I wanted to like put out. I know another thing that we once spoke about, me and you, is like we need to set goals, not only like New Year resolutions, but set goals. And I remember you saying something about having notes by your door that when you walk out, they need to remind you of the goals that you want to do. I don't know if you'd like to share 1 or 2 points, but that's all I have for our listeners.
Yeah, so, you know, you basically kind of touched on it all. You know, it comes back once again, as I've been repeating, to changing your mindset. Like you said, go after the things that you want to go after instead of, you know, creating obstacles for yourselves. You know, a lot of the times, yes, we all need money and to do things and actually make these things happen. But we need so much more than money. You know, money is not the only thing that we need. People need to, if you cannot physically invest money into somebody's dream, invest your time. Invest your knowledge, invest a skill into someone. And, you know, a lot of people don't know that helps a lot of people so much. Even just a word of encouragement, even just saying, hey, you know, you're doing great. Or, hey, you know, we're supporting you from the side. Those small things help push a person to be able to push their dream further and actually make it a reality. And those are the things that we need to do. We need to stop limiting ourselves to, like you said, working for other people and just saying that, hey, I need a job and this is, you know, the type of life that I'm going to follow. Yes, certain people are made, you know, and are comfortable with having a job. There is nothing wrong with that. But for those people who feel like they are hungry for more than a 9 to 5, I feel like even in high school, because I remember in high school, I was thinking of my first brand that I had in my head as an idea and wanted to make it happen. But there were so many limitations, and because of being young, no one gave us, you know, the time of day in order to kind of share our idea and share what we wanted to do, my friend and I. And those are the things. Instead of taking money as young people and just wasting it on going partying and drinking and whatever, you know, society deems as being successful, is that even in high school or in primary school or however old you are, you know, if you have a dream to do something, start investing in it today. Something small, you know, create a jar and write dreams on it and start collecting R1 every day of the year and for 5 years, and invest in getting resources to get better knowledge, to do the things that you want to do. Get to know people that are already doing what you want to do. And the big thing is that the people that have made it, you know, if they are listening out there, it's make time for those who are still working on their dream and who feel like they need a helping hand in order to get to where they need to be. Because I feel like people that feel like they are celebrities or have made it a little bit or to a certain level in life, they feel like, or give off this demeanor that they're better than everyone else. And that's the thing that needs to change, you know, in order for us to invest back into our country and for us to invest into ourselves. We also need other people to invest in us and, you know, not think that they're better than us to help us or to work with us, but actually give people who actually are hungry for those dreams a chance, and, you know, they will prove them right.
You know, thank you so much for sharing all of that. I always say that you don't have to feel successful to realize that you are successful. I know you are still working on your dreams. You're still ticking off all of those goals. And for me, that is success enough, you know, being able to wake up in the morning and push yourself to put your mind into what you really want. And I am very grateful to you for making time to join me and the listeners and sharing all the insights. I am going to actually ask you to share your contact details in case our listeners want to reach out to you or even like compliment you, you know?
Okay, can I firstly say before I give up my details, one more thing is defining the title of your podcast in my own words.
Oh.
You know, Unbecoming to Become. It's a powerful title. And
before you get to that, this is rather interesting because she is now putting me on the spot. I'm gonna say it anyway. She's like, what, like the biggest factor behind this podcast. And that's the thing, you know. You start investing on your dreams and the picture becomes clearer and God will like starts aligning you with the right people. And I guess that's the whole point of it, like starting a community where we are able to like come together. We are not successful yet, but yet we feel very successful and we are working towards our goals and we're still able to like, hey beloved, how are you? But before she says what she wants to say, she's like the biggest driving force. She was like, let me just say, she was like a big force behind this podcast. You know, when you have a dream or a vision but it's not really clear and you have an encounter and you're like, wow, that is God talking to me. That's how I felt. I had an aha moment. And you know, that's the one thing that I think I'm always grateful for. You're like, you're always patient with me. Hence I said at the beginning, we've been having so many problems with recording this episode, to be specific, but you've been really, really patient to me. So I'm gonna allow you to say your name and say what you think unbecoming to become means to you, or define it in your own words.
Okay, yes. Thank you very much. You know, you are a lovely person.
Thank
and
you.
I enjoy our moments together. So, for those who just joined in or for those who didn't hear, my name is Beloved Mphomane. And to me, the meaning of unbecoming to become is unbecoming all the things that people have already labeled you as, changing your mindset, or rather clearing your mindset of the past or the things that you thought that you have learned, and removing it completely and kind of being like a child. You know, when God says be like a child,
right,
and you know you will reach heaven, is because children are always open to learning.
True, I love that.
Their spirits and their minds are always open to learning and to knowing more. So that's what we need to do, is unlearn all the rules that people have set for you that say, oh, only at the age of 21 or 25 or 30 can you buy a house. Only at the age of this, you know, you can start a business. That is a mentality that's been set, and that is kind of limiting for our generation and other young people to come. So it is changing the mindset and the things that you have learned breaking down those walls and be willing to learn, but also to reconstruct that in a way that will push you forward, that will propel you forward, you know. So after breaking down, you slowly build it back up again according to how you want your life to go, and not according to how the world or life has said your direction should head, you know, and should be like.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, that's powerful. Homegirl is taking over, y'all.
Oh, and for my social media, for those who want to reach out or like my page and read my blog and
all of those beautiful things.
Above, my Instagram name is which is THEE_beloved_amor with a U, which is AMOUR. And my Facebook page is called All Things Fabulous with The Beloved Amor, same as my Instagram with The Beloved Amor. And Twitter is the Beloved_Amor, and the blog is thebelovedamor.com. So yeah, I mean, that's where people can reach me. And I have an email address too, if you would like to email me or work with me or just reach out, is the.belovedamor1@gmail.com. But I feel like, Eunice, you will share that information with your listeners.
Absolutely.
And they can reach out to me at any time.
There you had it for yourself, guys. Thank you for tuning in. And if indeed you want to reach out to her, get in touch to her or anything along those lines, I will leave all the details towards the end of the description of the show. Once again, beloved, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. And thank you for your beautiful heart. You know, it's been great. And I know that we're still going to do greater things together. And I'm excited about that.
Thank you, Eunice, for having me. I am honored to be on this show, and I'm excited for the future things that you're about to do.
Thank you so much. And back to our listeners again, I truly believe that we are here on this earth to connect and not to compare, that there is a reason we are not in this world alone. I truly think it's because we are all connected and we need each other to function peacefully, purposefully, and powerfully. And so if you'd also like to reach out to me, share a comment, an experience, or also give me feedback, my Facebook page is uni_Ngitandiwe, or you can holler at me on my Facebook page, Eunice Ngitandiwe Temba, or even send me an email on eunicetemba96@gmail.com. And to our listeners again, please press the like button so that you are fully subscribed and you also get automated episodes whenever I fully upload them. Till we talk again, thank you so much for tuning in. I love you and goodbye.